Hello everybody and welcome back to another Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. Hope you all have had a fantastic week since the last time we have spoken to each other. And ladies and gentlemen, the official squad has just been announced. The United States men's national team has released their 2026 FIFA World Cup squad. Are there any surprises in here? Not really, because the damn squad got released on Friday. The damn squad already got released. And then we had this whole scheduling thing about like, oh, we're going to release the schedule. And then, now it's here. And, whoa, this player got announced. This player got, it's so damn annoying that had to happen. Like, what was the point of having this whole, schedule release party? Or roster release party, sorry, if we're just going to have it released days before the actual squad gets announced. Like, there's no, and everybody's digesting it and taking it in and all that stuff, and you go like, man, maybe there's a surprise meeting. Maybe this is a squad that Mauricio Pochettino kind of slipped under the doormat and go like, hey, here's our potential squad. And then we see a random wild card in there. And this squad, we said this in the video when doing the final World Cup squad prediction. I'm not expecting a whole lot of surprises. There was not any massive surprise in here. There were some surprises, but nothing that is sitting there I'm shocked that it happened like we had in 2022. And before we get into any of that, let's go over the housekeeping items first. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description below. Check me out on all different social media accounts. Make sure to check out the Apple Podcasts and Spotify accounts. Also, make sure to check out the blog post at theloganblackmanshow.com. Most importantly, though, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up if you're already enjoying it. But if you're not a trusting individual, I don't blame you. I will remind you at the end to give it a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, if you still don't like it, then I will apologize at the end and I will try to be better next time. But also, make sure to leave a comment down below on why you feel the way you do about the United States squad in general, about who should have gone, who shouldn't have gone, what you think about Pochettino, about the players that were selected, all that great stuff. Let me know down in the comment section below. But here is the squad for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Again, no surprises really in here because the squad got released on Friday. And the whole idea was, oh, hey, we're releasing a squad on Tuesday. We're going to have this big show in New York City, and all the players are going to walk out, and it's going to be awesome and super exciting. And you just sat there and okay, knew that one was coming. Okay, knew that one was coming. I remember sitting there watching the 2022 World Cup squad video and seeing Shaq Moore get introduced. It was like, what the hell is Shaq Moore in here? Or Haji Wright getting introduced, or Jesus Ferreira and Ricardo Pepi not being involved in the World Cup squad, Zach Steffen not being involved in the squad after being the number one for however many years. Then he got his chain snatched by Matt Turner at that point. It was still a surprise knowing that Zach Steffen was not going to be involved in the World Cup squad. So there were some surprises in the 2022 squad. This one, again, we already knew what it was going to be a couple days before, and out of my predicted squad, out of the 26 people that I predicted to go to the World Cup, I got 24 right. The two players that didn't wind up making the squad are Diego Luna and Tanner Tessman. Now, Diego Luna is the one that's going to catch the eye of a lot of people out there because he's probably, pound for pound, one of the most popular players in the United States men's national team to the casual fan out there because he does everything that you want to have from a national team player. He does everything for the chest. He does everything for the crest on his chest. He plays with passion. And he's had a good start to the season. He's had a very good start to the season. And I've seen people talk about oh, was it him or Giovanni Reyna that's going to get left off the team? And I had both of them going to the World Cup, but it's easy to root for a guy like Diego Luna. And this is kind of the same thing that happened to him prior to the Olympics a few years ago. He was very instrumental in the lead up to the Olympics, but wasn't involved in the squad. And prior to this World Cup squad announcement, if you look at the Gold Cup last year, if you look at the Nations League quarterfinal or the semifinal and the third place match, he was the best player for the United States in those games. Now, in the Gold Cup, you could say Malik Tillman, Chris Richards are also in there, but the fan favorite was Diego Luna. So naturally, with the fan favorite not getting involved in the squad or not getting included in the squad, that's going to be the most eye-popping thing, especially when you look at someone like Alejandro Zendejas, who hasn't been involved in the squad since September. Now, he has had a really good start to the season for Club America. He's a left-footed winger, which is something, again, we talked about this with Jack McGlynn in the prediction videos, that he provides something that no one else in the United States has. Now, Alejandro Zendejas' performances for the United States have been kind of wishy-washy. They have been kind of up and down, but again, he provides something that no one else can, and that's a left-footed option on the wing, a natural left-footed option on the wing. I thought if they were going to do that, it was going to be someone like Jack McGlynn, but again, natural winger for the United States going into this World Cup. In regards to Tanner Tessman, this one was the most shocking. I know Diego Luna is going to get the most media fanfare and the most attention in regards to this, and I understand why, but Tanner Tessman has been a guy that Mauricio Pochettino has kind of looked to and gone you're going to be my starter in central midfield. It was Tyler Adams and him are pretty much guaranteed to start next to each other in midfield. That's what the thought process was all in months ago. That's what it's always felt like. It's always felt like Tanner Tessman's going to go to the World Cup. He's playing for Lyon over in France. He's going to get a move this summer potentially. He's one of the better players that the United States has on paper, and to see him not involved in the squad and to see the real lack of midfield depth, which is something I brought up in the prediction video, is that it's kind of scary because I don't know if I'm alone here. I don't really trust, let's say hypothetically, worst case scenario, Tyler Adams gets hurt. There's a non-zero chance of that happening. So you're going to have Tyler Adams go down, and you're going to have one of Sebastian Berhalter or Christian Roldan go into a midfield. And I know the United States group isn't the toughest in the world. I mean, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey, not necessarily like a bunch of world beaters, but if you get past the group stage and go into the knockout stage, are you comfortable with those guys being your options after that? Like, if you look at back at 2014 in the Brazil World Cup, Josie Altidore gets hurt in the very first game against Ghana, like 20 minutes in or something like that. The United States has no striker options after Josie Altidore. It was Aaron Johansson, and then you played Clint Dempsey up at striker. They had no other options there. So to go to a tournament with that little depth at position is nervy. And someone like Tanner Tessman or even Aiden Morris, I think, can feel a little bit hard done by for not going to the tournament, especially since there's no injuries involved with the likes of Tessman or Aiden Morris. And Mircea Pochettino refused to talk about it because he said it was disrespectful to the players who got introduced in the squad. And I know you want to back your players, you want to back your choice and all that, but for a player like Tanner Tessman, who again has been in and around the United States men's national team squad for X amount of times, it's kind of confusing, especially when you look at the fact that he said back in the last camp, the players who are not here, they shouldn't be surprised if they're not in the World Cup squad. I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but I don't believe Alejandro Zendejas was in that squad. If I'm remembering correctly, maybe I'm forgetting and I'm just completely gone crazy here, but I don't remember him being involved in the squad there either. So Diego Luna not being involved is not surprising from that aspect, but in the same breath, it's surprising that someone like Alejandro Zendejas, so I don't want to take anything away from him. Again, I think he's had a very good start to the season for Club America. I think he has 6 goals to his name to start the year. That's great. He provides something different for the United States going forward. I get all of that, but it's still a surprising inclusion given, and I say this like Diego Luna had a guaranteed spot in this team. I was never one of the people that was sitting out there and like pounding the table for Diego Luna, because I remember during the Gold Cup, people were already throwing him into the starting 11. And I was like, okay, let's calm down here. Let's calm down about putting Diego Luna in the starting line, because they were putting him in over Timothy Weah. Man, Timothy Weah's spot in the national team is up for grabs with Diego Luna being the guy to challenge for. I do think the hype around Diego Luna got a little crazy at points in times, especially with him being involved in all these World Cup ads and everything. So that's kind of surprised me as well, is that Diego Luna's involved in all of these ads for the World Cup, and I'm assuming they're going to still be a thing as the World Cup goes on, and he's one of the center points of these ads, and we're not going to see him at the World Cup. But again, I understand it, and I'm not incredibly surprised, but I do get why people would be upset or somewhat surprised. But I think that's where it has to end. I think it has to be somewhat surprised. I don't think this is an egregious not inclusion in the squad. I would say, again, Tanner Tessman is more of an egregious non-inclusion in the squad than Diego Luna is. And you see the way people have talked about like Giovanni Reyna and comparing what Diego Luna has done to the start of the season for Real Salt Lake and what Giovanni Reyna has done for Borussia Mönchengladbach, where he started only 4 games. By comparison, Diego Luna has 4 goals to his name. But if you're just looking just strictly at the players, if you're comparing Giovanni Reyna and Diego Luna just purely as players, not what they've done for their clubs at this point in time, you cannot sit there and honestly believe and tell me that Giovanni Reyna is a worse player than Diego Luna. That's not the case. Giovanni Reyna is bigger than Diego Luna. He's more technically gifted than Diego Luna. If he's on his game, he is one of the most technically gifted players the United States has at their disposal. If he was playing more consistently, he would be one of the first names in the starting 11. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case in this World Cup, given what the squad looks like. I would imagine that it's going to be Malik Tillman with Christian Pulisic in those number 10 positions behind a Balogun, with Weston McKennie playing a little bit further back, which again, that's where I kind of throw in the concerns about the midfield depth, because I don't want Weston McKennie playing that far back. The best form that he's had for the national team for the United States with Mircea Pochettino has been in those attacking midfield spots. So I'm not the biggest fan of that mindset with that. But again, we've seen Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie playing a double pivot before, but it's concerning going into World Cup that knowing that your depth behind them is Sebastian Berhalter and Christian Roldan. And Berhalter, I understand in regards to, again, I've talked about this before, he provides something that no one else for the national team provides, and that's set piece marksmanship. No one else for the national team provides that. Pulisic is famously not very good at set pieces. He's not been that for the United States. He's good at penalties, but in regards to corners and free kicks, he leaves a lot to be desired in those areas. Sebastian Berhalter provides a little bit of that. How much are we going to see Berhalter doing that in the World Cup is a completely different story because we don't know how much he's going to play. Roldan, to sit back, if you were to take me back to 2022 and tell me that Christian Roldan would be a part of 2 World Cup squads for the United States men's national team, I would have called you crazy. And I don't want to take anything away from Christian Roldan. Like, I think he's a solid player. He's a good player in the MLS. But comparing him to Tanner Tessman or an Aiden Morris, I just don't think that's where we're at. I don't think that. And I do think that I understand, like, coaches love him. He's a type of player that coaches love him. Pochettino praised him immensely months ago, said he's the perfect player. Like, when that comment made, this was I believe this was back in 2025. And it was like, okay, Christian Roldan's going to the World Cup. We can pen him in. He's going to the World Cup regardless. Dread it, run from it. Destiny arrives all the same. And Christian Roldan is going to be in your World Cup squad. Same with Max Arfsten. And I know a lot of people are not really thrilled about Max Arfsten being included in the squad. But if you really think about it, Max Arfsten's probably not going to play a single minute at this World Cup. Because I think, again, worst case scenario, Anthony Robinson gets hurt. I would imagine that Sergiño Dest slides over to left back. That would be my guess at this point in time. We see Timothy Weah play at right back. That would be the guess at this point in time. But we don't want to think like that. Same thing with Tyler Adams getting hurt. We don't want to think like that. But Arfsten has been in good form, and Pochettino loves himself some Max Arfsten. So it's not a surprise that he's in and around the squad. Christian Roldan will be in to see out games. If the United States is up, I find it hard to believe that Christian Roldan is not going to play a decent amount of minutes for his talent level at this World Cup. Now, if you're looking at the squad in general, rant aside, if you're looking at the squad in general, this squad is better than the one we had in 2022. Like, if you just go player for player, it's a better squad. Like, the right back options. Like, you look at Sergiño Dest, Joe Scally. Those two were involved in the squad in 2022, but also Alex Freeman and Timothy Weah can deputize at right back if needed. You look at 2022, you had DeAndre Yedlin still kicking into the squad. Shaq Moore should have never been anywhere near the United States men's national team at that point in time. I know he had a good Gold Cup prior to, but in the World Cup squad, like, that's where we kind of had to draw the line there. And he played in the World Cup. Like, it's not like he just went there for shits and giggles. He actually played at that World Cup. And then you look at the center back options. Walker Zimmerman was in that squad. I have nothing against Walker Zimmerman for the most part, but if you're comparing him to like Chris Richards, who again went out injured prior to the 2022 World Cup, it's a massive upgrade there. You look at Miles Robinson being back and involved. He was also injured prior to that World Cup. I don't know why. I didn't mean to bring up him. I meant to bring up Aaron Long for 2022. But then you look at Austin Trusty. You look at Mark McKenzie being involved in these squads. Cameron Carter-Vickers isn't in the squad because he had the Achilles injuries. But the center backs, you could say they're boosted because, again, the top level with Chris Richards being there is already raised because of that. The striker options, drastically better in this World Cup. Balogun, Ricardo Pepi. Haji Wright was in the squad, but Haji Wright, again, was not viewed the same that he is now as he was in 2022. But Ricardo Pepi was a massive non-inclusion in the squad, and you had the likes of Josh Sargent, Jesus Ferreira also in the squad. So looking at Balogun, 19 goals in total this season for Monaco. Pepi, I believe, also had 19. I believe Haji Wright had about 18 or 19 goals. So the striker position right now is at a really good spot for the national team. I made a video a couple weeks ago, or probably a month ago now, where about the forward options. And I think, again, with Dest and Robinson, they'll provide that with, if the United States does go with the wing back formation, with a 3-4-2-1 formation. But if they go with the 4-2-3-1, I would imagine Malik Tillman and Pulisic, they're going to tuck in a little bit. And maybe we see a squad with Tyler Adams starting next to Christian Roldan at this World Cup. Maybe we see that with Weston McKennie playing on the right. Maybe we do see that. But yeah, the squad in general, there's nothing to be shocked about. Nothing really. I mean, again, there's some surprise about Diego Luna not being involved in the squad, but it's like a minuscule surprise. It's not like a massive, like, jaw-dropping non-inclusion in the squad. That's not what we have here. I expected him to be in the squad, but I'm not surprised about it. I'm surprised that Alejandro Zendejas is included in the squad, but again, provides that little bit something different with the left foot in there, so I get it. Tanner Tessman not being included, I don't understand. And the players getting an email about not making the squad, I think's bogus. I think that's so stupid. Like, if you're going to have a team, a national team, and like fight for you and all that stuff, you have to sit them down and tell them that they're not making the squad, or at least call them or FaceTime them or something. Don't send out an email and go like, hey, sorry, you didn't make the World Cup squad. Better luck next time if I'm still the manager here or not. And there's been a lot of things that Mauricio Pochettino has done where I haven't necessarily agreed with his national team stint in regards to like doing the whole charity soccer game thing as a manager there. Like, how many times have you seen an active manager, let alone an active international manager, participate in a game with a bunch of influencers? That's not what you normally see. And then when he did an interview on the overlap, like, when's the last time we saw like Luis de la Fuente go and do an interview on the overlap or something like that? Or like, I just don't like some of these moves that he's been doing. And I think, again, the email thing, if that's true, that's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. And then not elaborating on why someone like Tanner Tessman, who's always been in and around these squads, not being included in the World Cup squad, that I need a little bit more elaboration on that. I do understand for the whole fact of, well, I'm not going to single any players out that actually made the squad, but I need some sort of clarification in regards to that. And if I had to make some changes to the national team squad, if I was doing my national team squad, I would have loved to see someone like Xavier Gozo go into the World Cup. I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see Yunus Musa be included in the squad. I do think in the midfield 3, or midfield 2 with this formation, I think he would have fit in nicely in there. You cannot tell me, I know Yunus Musa's form has not been the greatest since joining Atalanta on loan, but you cannot sit there and tell me that he's less talented than Christian Roldan. You can't tell me that. I will never believe that. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound disrespectful to Christian Roldan, but that's just the fact, in my opinion. I say fact, but it's in my opinion. My opinion is that. Yeah, or Aiden Morris or Tanner Tessman. Like, that stuff's confusing to me. And they have depth at center back, which is good. 10 defenders. That's a lot of defenders. So we'll see how they rotate all of those guys. Chris Richards a guaranteed starter. How much does Tim Ream play? Do we see Austin Trusty in there? How much do we see like Alex Freeman play center back, right back? Do we see Mark McKenzie or Miles Robinson playing there? We're just going to have to wait and see. There's a lot of different ways the United States can line up. They got their friendlies coming up against Germany and Senegal, so we'll have previews for that. We're going to have our World Cup preview coming up here as well. I'll do a full like individual Group D analysis video in there as well, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that. But the squad in general, I don't think there's anything to be too like, I don't know. I think, again, this squad is good enough to make the knockout stage. Anything less than the knockout stage and advancing a couple rounds, or at least a round, I would say is an abject failure. Especially with it being on home soil. I know Canada and Mexico are their hosts as well, but regardless of what you think about that, don't know. But yeah, that's the squad for the United States World Cup. I threw it on the screen earlier. I'll throw it up and again now. Leave your comments down below on why you feel the way you do about the squad in general, who you would have included, who you've not included, who got screwed out of this World Cup squad. If you were surprised by anything, if you were not surprised by anything, let me know about your thoughts about Pochettino, about how the U.S.'s chances look at this World Cup, how you think the squad compares to 2022. All of that great stuff, let me know down in the comment section below. And also make sure to check out all the links down in the description below as well. All the different social media accounts, podcasts, all that. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, though. That's the most important thing. Here's a certain percentage of people who aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe to that. And also make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time. And yeah, let's hope the United States does well at this World Cup. I've been Logan Blackman, and I will see you guys later. Peace.